Hello, everybody. Hey, Jolt Energy. Hey, Cristian Navarro. Hey, Tooth. Hey, Mikle. Hey, Linda. Gonna do some progress on this overly ambitious illustration because I'm an absolute idiot. When I started this, my literal thoughts were like, oh well, I need to make 10 more pages for the Sunstone art book for the Kickstarter because we unlocked that tier. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna make one of them at least spread, so it's gonna be easier for me to make it because it's a spread, 2 pages, 1 picture. And then I went, yeah. The character count just kept increasing. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Hey, Jolt Energy. Hey, Dragon Zen. So now, I gotta make it. Why are you? Oh, I see. Alright, where's the layer with... there it is. Double check. So I gave her like a patterning on everything because of course I did. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, wrong layer. Solid start, Stefan, solid start. Get that wrong layer going. Thanks, Borzor. Okay, let's see. So, it's gonna be one heavily laced dress. So let's see, like this new raster layer. And first, let's smooth this out a little bit so that I can see what I'm working with. Opacity, there we go. at least I made it easy on myself where I just decided to do like a photographic illumination on this, so it's like just kind of one directional light that would come from like a camera flash. So at least I'm not gonna cook my brain calculating illuminations all the time. You know, thank God for small favors. Hey, Alan Gomez. now to find brushes that usually I know immediately where they are in Photoshop, but Clip Studio they just are very tiny to see. Okay, this is one of them. This was one of them, that much I know. But wait, did I? Of course I did. It's one of those things that Clip Studio misses. Hey, Tayuki. The fuck? Weird. Still trying to figure out how to make some things that I do in Photoshop with a layer style here, so I'm kinda doing stupid shit. brushes did I put here? That's annoying. Alright, here's this one. Wait, was it there all the time? Oh yeah, there's a whole ass third hardcover already out and working on the rest of the story. Well, because like Sunstone is gonna have 20 books, so and right now I'm working on book 9. Yeah, the problem is from now on, hardcovers aren't going to be regularly released anymore because the sales just don't justify it. So from now on, it's basically gonna be crowdfunders only for hardcovers. Not something I was looking forward to, but it's kind of one of those things where it's that weird middle ground where there's people who want them, but there's not enough people to justify wide spread printing. And ain't that the biggest fucking frustrating area to be in? Because, like, honestly, I'm the happiest when I don't have to crowdfund stuff, I'm not gonna lie. Because at that point, you know, I can just make my comics and not really worry about the tedium of micromanaging a crowdfunder. Still, better than not having the books, so we'll take it. Now the upside, there is one upside to crowdfunding the future hardcovers. With the next hardcover, which is going to be volume 4, I'm going to release a very fun little add-on, which is going to be basically dust jackets for all the previous hardcovers, where people will finally be able to wrap up their hardcovers and have them be a matching set. So there's going to be dust jackets with multiple sides. So there's going to be the first printing side and the second printing side. And then there's going to be a special one that's Kickstarter only. Well, they're all kind of Kickstarter only, but like a special celebratory third dust jacket, which is going to be like a new special one, maybe even like, I don't know, something shiny and stuff. We'll see. Yeah, that's kind of one of the rare things with crowdfunding that I actually genuinely like. It's the fact that you can kind of add on these little weird things that sometimes are exactly what you fucking need, and it would be impossible to do in standard printing. So, you know, you gotta look at the silver lining sometimes. Cheer yourself up, you know. Do I have a Kickstarter profile? No, basically I have Top Cow run my Kickstarters for me because I publish through them anyways usually. So that's the problem. I often see people ask like, well, why do these companies make Kickstarters? Same reason why everybody else does, you know. There's products that are very niche. They don't have enough appeal to justify a large scale investment, and they're not worth financially on a small scale investment. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like effectively printing on demand. If, you know, that's kind of what this is in the end. And right now we are finishing. There's 3 more days left on the Sunstone Art of Sunstone large hardcover art book with a box. That one's basically just a book of illustrations done over the last 14 years, and some absolutely new ones that are done as a celebration for the book. So it's gonna be a big, like 210 pages, large book. Do I post on any other social media? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and what's called Blue Sky. But I've been kind of reducing my presence on all these social medias because they've kind of all gone to shit. So I used to be way more active because they used to be way more fun. Now it's just AI slop as far as the eye can reach. Especially on Facebook. Jesus Christ, that place has gone to shit. It wasn't that good to begin with, but my god. Oh God, no! I can't make a hardcover omnibus with all the volumes. Do you have any idea how large Sunstone is? Right now, it's 8 volumes. That's almost 2,000 pages. Like 1,800 pages on just those 8. And these books kind of keep growing over time, so it's gonna be like about 5,000 pages. That's one of those things where it's like you need one of those Bible stands, those old fashioned like medieval ones where they would have like a massive Bible on a goddamn like stand for a priest to read in a medieval time, and he had to like use both hands to just open the cover, like you know. That'd be the fucking sound. The shipping alone would have you take out a loan. It's like, all right, you bought it on the Kickstarter. Here's the shipping costs. Oh, cool! I have to sell my child. It's like, what the hell? Yeah, it would be insane. This one is the Clip Studio blending brush. It's good. It's not as good as the Photoshop one. Unfortunately, I can't get the Photoshop one to work as a blender brush here, so but it gets the job done, like this is why I tend to kind of pull the image later on into Photoshop, but I'm trying to keep it as Clip Studio exclusive as much as I can, mostly because I like to record my time lapse for the pieces, because it's just so fun watching these things kind of be made from nothing and just watching the absolute chaos that is my brain at work. Because, like, this is what we have so far, right? Let me just file, export, time-lapse, export time-lapse, right? Like, this thing is basically how this image is made, and Clip Studio just kind of records that if you have it, if you click on it, which very often I forget to do. This actual piece I started working on and realized I didn't have the time lapse, and in absolute anger, just deleted the layer and started over. And this one for me is just especially funny because it's a time lapse of just watching one person sink into absolute lunacy as I keep adding more and more shit into this, and it's just like, oh man, it's like it was supposed to be a simple image. And then I was like, you know what would be even better? If I have all these people in it and all these things. Yeah, in theory, yes, but in practice, Clip Studio crashes. And once it crashes, it kind of forgets those setups. And then, then it goes, I forgore. Oh, thank you, Morrison. Don't worry about how to pronounce my name correctly. That knowledge has been lost in the old days when the elder gods left this plane of existence and left nothing but writings of strange words in the ancient Necronomicon. One such word was my name. So, don't worry about it. You're not supposed to pronounce it correctly. Exactly. Do not utter the ancient names of blasphemy. My favorite was when some random streamer at some point when I was commenting the chat read my name as Saint Japan. Saint Nihongo, patron saint of all manga. Peace be with you, ramen. Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for purchasing the stuff that I made. I'll trust you on that. I'm still not clicking it now. I'm drawing. That's sure. That's nice. I don't like prejudge anybody. Like I've listened to way stupider stuff. The problem is also, I'm streaming on YouTube as well, so I can't have copyrighted stuff. This is just whenever you hear this kind of stuff in the background, yeah, it's pretty much a clear sign that I'm streaming on YouTube as well. What's the name of this playlist? I don't know. Random DMCA free synth wave, whatever. There's just a lot of that stuff is very much the same. I don't know. I'm not a fan of their aesthetic. They're kind of too clunky on everything. But hey, it's a style, it's a choice. It's one of those things where it's like you either like it or you don't. Well, again, it's a personal thing. It's not a matter of whether or not they're buff muscle mummies or anything. It's just basically their whole aesthetic is very. I, it's it just doesn't work for me. It's so everything is so clunky. There's like when they first released Emma Frost and just everything was so there's so many odd choices on like the directionality of the costumes. There like every time I see any one of those designs, something about it just kind of bugs me because it's like just pointing the wrong way or jutting in the wrong way, and it just doesn't click for me. No, it's not even Gunnar bait. Like it's for what it is. It's a very it's a defined style, and I respect it for that. It's just it's literally me looking at it. I'm like, I would have made a different choice on this. It's that's kind of I'm cooked in a different way. Again, absolutely nothing against them. Like respect to people making the thing. It's just it's we all have our tastes and we all have our ways of how we would like to see a character be done, and No, that's just kind of not my thing. Yeah, again, like that's one of those things. Like exactly, you can hand wave it as fashion. It's still there's still a matter of of whether or not you like that said fashion, and that's again very personal choices and opinions there. It's one of those reasons why I don't really ever take it personally when people don't like my work. Is you know that's taste for you. You know, you don't you either like a thing or you don't. Nobody can talk you into it. You know. Same goes for for writing. You know, whenever somebody doesn't like my comic because they're like, oh, this just doesn't. You know, this is boring to me. I'm like, yeah, valid. You know, fucking Watchmen are boring to me, and that's critically acclaimed and considered to be the greatest graphic novel ever. You know, one of the, and you know, it just doesn't click for me. So I can very much understand where somebody's personal preferences or a thing will, you know, kick in and just it's not gonna work. Yeah, and that's absolutely valid. I've always said that, you know, you don't have to like everything I do, because chances are you won't, you know. Even among my own creative work, you know, there's people who are into Sunstone, there's people who are into Fine Print, there's people who are into Death Vigil, and there's poor bastards out there who are like, when's new Ravine coming? And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, you know. That's that's the one of those beautiful things about creativity. Same thing, yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, I would love to make the next Harleen. Lord knows I have the script and I have everything figured out, and it would be better than the first one by like fucking double. Like, just because like of how well paced and how intense the storyline is. I just don't have the time, man. That's the fucked up part. And like, I'm not gonna take away time from my own work because, well, at the end of the day, this is my stuff. You know, I get to own it. There is no new Ravine coming. Ravine was one of those books that were a massive flop, and you kind of don't recover from that. Yeah, I had my plans. I had a full plan, and DC was very much okay with it. They greenlit the whole thing, where I would have done Harleen. I would have done basically the plan was a book of Harleen, then Isley book, then Harleen 2, then Selena, then Harleen 3, then what's it called, Sirens. In theory, had it all worked out, but at the end of the day, you know, it's like you only have so much of life, you know. Lifespan is limited, and I would really not want to experience a berserk situation, you know, me dying and Sunstone remaining unfinished. It's like I would rather focus and finish the things that are my own. than make, something that, yeah, to a lot of people would have been a masterpiece. No joke. Like what I had planned for Harleen and what I had planned for Isley and for Selena and the Sirens, those would have been like some of those books that you go like, okay, so see this is the character, right? This is like, one of those kinds of, as in it will be very character defining in a way where it's like it kind of summarizes a lot of the stuff that's been done with the character into something very coherent, very kind of engaging, and then deliver a really strong story with that. That was the plan. But that plan is basically at least 4 years of creative career. And during those 4 years of creative career, I could have made 6 to 7 books of my own. And there's the problem. Yeah, Harleen 2 wasn't gonna be the redemption one. Oh god, no. Harleen 2 is the true sinking. Like, Harleen 2 was basically going to be effectively a Bonnie and Clyde story of Harley and the Joker basically taking on the mob in Gotham because Joker has his plan and mob has their plans with things that Joker had within his plan. So it gets really messy, and then, Crane gets involved with the Scarecrow, and it was gonna be fucking insane. Like, genuinely, the story was gonna be really, really fucking intense. And that would end up with a really, really very emotionally intense finale. And then the third book is basically the fallout and Harley and Ivy, Harley finding support in Ivy and then finding more. And then, there would have been more of that in the Sirens book. Oh, we haven't even scratched the surface there. Like, this, no joke, I have the script for Harleen too. It is intense. But the problem is, it's also, another one of those almost 200-page books. And the problem with that is I don't have that time. Like, next year I'm doing a 50-page book for DC uh, that's gonna get announced when it gets announced. Like, and that's about as much as I can do. And plus, honestly, there's also the fact that over time, the superhero comic reading audience has become cynical to the point where I just don't feel happy working in that field. The cynicism is so overwhelming, and it's exhausting. And so at some point I'm like, I would rather work on stuff where people will be genuinely happy to get the book than that. Yeah, I forgot to turn it off a fucking week ago, and I just keep doing it every day. And every day I'm like, oh, I should probably turn that off, and then I don't. Huh? I have no idea. I don't even remember what I was fucking having the timer on for. Like, by this point, like this is like I don't even know what I set it for, but you know, it's going. No, I just literally forgot. Yeah, no. Oh man, this is gonna be a pain in the ass of a picture. And a part of me is like, you should just quit this one. Just, take the L. But it's that stubborn fucker in me that just goes like, here's the thing though. What what if instead you just keep pushing it and then make it work after fucking 100 hours of work? Wouldn't that be great? I'm like, 100 hours? Who's got that kind of time? What if we take it away from sleeping? Hear me out though. What if yes? What if no pajama? What if no? Viewers right now are like, what the fuck is happening? It's like, don't worry about it. Linda and I are having a moment. A moment of stupid, but a moment. Yeah, exactly. Okay, their heads are a wee bit too tiny. Maybe. Yeah, there's a raw energy to them like this. And one of these days I'm probably gonna completely change my approach how I do these things and just do a more raw style, but then like just actually do line work all over it in the end. And then that's gonna make it seem like I finished it. I mean, that's gonna make it finished. Did I make this one from Paint Blobs again? Refresh. You better fucking believe it. And that's literally how this thing is done. Me starting a simple piece and going, time to suffer. Okay, how can I make it complicated? We can take it to a stupid place. That's the cool thing about Clip Studio. When I remember and actually hit record for my process, and then just stuff gets made. Yeah, that's literally it. And then at some point I was like, hey, I should probably add Ali and Lisa's family also. All right, we're gonna cram them in on this side, so I had to move them here, and there's gonna be like family members here. Yeah. Oh my God. This one's an empty layer. What's in this one? This one is the. Oh, it's the. Wait, did I have something else on it? What the fuck? Weird. What's this one? This one's that. This one's one. This one's. Oh, this one's the hand. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it is. Oh. Alright, just give me 1 second. And let me just save also. And then. Just gotta go get some water because I am thirsty. Yeah, it's more freeing to paint that way. The problem is it's harder to finish that way. Because lack of structure, lack of just a defined process has you meandering a lot, and that's my problem always, is how to keep that under control. Because this is what happens when you don't fucking have a structure. You end up with a really scope crept picture. It's like, oh hey, I've added all these characters. None of them needed to be here. I could have kept it simple, but no. What? Yeah. Yeah, like I said, chaos is freeing for sure, but it comes at a price. Everything does. Yeah. But the problem when things have more life is they strive to kind of be more expressive in a way where it doesn't necessarily benefit the composition or the concept that you're trying to create, you know? And at that point, there's a significant risk of everything falling apart. Yeah, pretty much a very simple wedding picture moment that grew into a very unsimple wedding picture moment. Because in the beginning it was basically the two of them, and the two of them effectively just kind of doing a new take on, you know, this very old piece. It was like one of those pieces that was done before Sunstone was Sunstone. And so I was just kind of figuring shit out. And, you know, scope creep. It's like me making a 3D sculpture for printing, going like, I'm gonna make something simple and easy, and it's gonna be very cool, and it's gonna be very nice. What if I add 3 more characters? And an incredibly elaborate base. And now the whole thing will fit exactly 0 shelves. And wings, massive, massive wings, bigger wings. Did I ever watch the Venture Bros? No. Don't even know what that's about. Like, I know visually the characters because I've seen them in a bunch of like pictures online, but never. See, that would very, very much explain things to me if I knew literally anything about Johnny Quest. Because I've never seen that one either. Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, let me make it simple. It's gonna be a portrait. Is it though? Listen, I am too busy making these things, and so I don't really have the time to enjoy stuff that other people have made. That's, you know, it's a gift and a curse, really. Nice. Yes, smiles are especially one of those things that are uh, they're they're probably the hardest thing to nail just right in comics. In illustration, not so much. In comics, the problem is if you're gonna draw a smile properly, you gotta draw the nasal labial folds. And if you draw those, your character is aged by like 15 to 20 years when you ink it. It's so weird. So it's kind of really hard to get a smile that looks right unless you have a colorist that knows how to draw smiles as well. So they can actually fill in the stuff through just pure shading instead of you inking it. That's one of those things where I have the benefit of being my own artist and my own colorist and my own everything at this point. Except right now, I'm actually working with a flatterer for the first time ever. Well, not first time ever. I've had a few pages flattered by Linda before, but like properly, like consistently, if it works out, we'll see. But so far, so good. But yeah, generally, the more control you exert over it, and the more you know how to do, the less chances of it looking wrong. I've seen some really, really excellent pencilers get absolutely shafted by inkers who didn't know how to translate penciling into inks, and colorists who didn't know anything about anatomy, so they would shade everything like a balloon, which, you know, it's rough. You didn't get the answer the first time either. Some knowledges are best kept secret. Seriously, don't worry about my name. Feel free to mispronounce it. That's fine. Listen, even if you knew how to pronounce it, first of all, you're gonna know it for like 5 minutes until it slips your mind because that is the curse of my name. But second of all, you would teach somebody else and they would immediately start mispronouncing it, and keep mispronouncing it. So really, there's no need. Like, all joking aside, it's one of those Balkan names where it's like, if you're in the region, you won't have any issues with it. But if you're not, holy shit. It's like when you go in some Nordic country and try to pronounce the name of their towns and villages, and you're just like staring at the sign in disbelief, going like, "God damn, Cthulhu, Cthulhu, Rallie Fatan." You're just kind of staring at it like, okay, that sure is a long series of consonants. Hey, Miss Sky. Just call me Steven. It's fine. The name literally means the same thing. But if you really need to know, it's Stepan Shage. See, at this point you're like, ah, I get it, and then like suddenly your words start distorting, and it just doesn't work anymore, and it's weird. It's one of those things with Slavic names, you know. It's we are very consonant heavy, and like we put consonants in our language together that don't really go together in a lot of other languages, except like Nordics, and they will put different consonants, and we're gonna look at their consonants together and go like, what is wrong with you? You're not supposed to put that next to that. It doesn't matter. It's pointless. You clip it, it ain't gonna do shit. It's a fascinating phenomenon. There are people who've known me for decades who are Americans who still can't do it. Because I can teach them every time, over and over again, and with great confidence they're going to say, ah, I'm the one who knows how to say his name, and then say it completely wrong, and I'm just like, 20 fucking years, man. Oh yeah, inevitable. Like, and I ain't even gonna fucking be offended by it. I'm just gonna be like, yeah, yeah, it's just how it works. Such is the way of elder gods, you know. It's just me and Cthulhu out there chilling. Exactly. When you write it, but then you try and say the last name and you inevitably fuck it up. Muscle memory at this point. Plus, there's certain generalities that tend to work that are not a 100% thing. Yeah, yeah. But one of those things is if you take a color and you need to do a shadow, you go diagonal. You go darker, but also towards more saturation. If you want to add light to it, you go diagonally up left. So it's lighter, but also less saturation. That's kind of how it goes. See. Oh, it's the same thing with any kind of a skin tone. Uh, More saturated for the shadows, less saturated for light. Beyond that, it's just basically a question of what color is their blood. By that I mean like that's gonna be your transitional area between light and shadow. That's gonna be your subsurface scattering. It's kind of one of those things where when you draw a human, right? So you take your base color and just layer and you layer. You make your human, right? And your human, you lay down some light shadow, Okay, let's do some less. Then you're gonna do some, let's say, some bluish tint. You can even do it as very light blue, and then go with. Let's go with multiply. Multiply. A bit less opacity. So, because I'm drawing a dude, so a bit of a bluish tint, a bit under the eyes, and then you go with some reddish. You're adding some transitional areas to the shadow because human blood is red. So this is where subsurface scattering happens. When light hits it, it's those areas wherever light meets the shadow, you're gonna get those little reddish areas, right? But if you're drawing something that, let's say an orc, you're doing a green skin or something like that, then you go with let's pick there we go. Same rule, right? Shadows darker but more saturated. And then you start building up. Then you go lighter, less saturated for like highlights. You can go even deeper. And then let's say their skin is green, right, and the light is coming from above but slightly from behind to a degree, where you can do like the subsurface scattering on their ears and these like transitional areas is gonna be a bit of a like a highly saturated little area of like more intense green. Not too much. It's usually gonna be mostly seen on any type of thin skin, areas. So something like ears, you'll see that often, like on both humans and animals and pretty much anything. So that's basically the trick, and then you just kind of keep rendering. You kind of do your little highlights. You pick areas of then you pick some type of a tonal difference on some areas. Like lips tend to be a bit different in shade on most species, so you can kind of play around with that. It's like, don't worry about it looking like lipstick. You work it until it feels right. And the same rule goes, you know, for pretty much any kind of a skin tone. You can have some sort of like a merfolk thing that's all like blue and everything, you know. It's like it's absolutely same logic applies. Yeah, more saturated for the shadows, and then you build up stuff. And then you're like, okay, does this character have? And this is where you actually get to have fun. Like, let's say you have a character that's like very blue green, you know, like you can add some more like variety and everything. But let's say their blood is also red. Oh, this is where it actually gets very visually interesting because then you can do your subsurface scattering with those reddish tints, and then all of a sudden you get these very beautiful contrasts, right? Then all of a sudden, you get yourself something that's very visually appealing, very interesting to look at because it's got a wide selection of colors, and then you can go really crazy. You can get like intensely yellow eyes or something like that, And it's like that's the fun part of drawing all these kinds of fantasy creatures is you just kind of you go with stuff that makes it believable, but also you go with interesting choices for everything else, and then you got yourself a really nice little approach to do things. So, yeah, about how to improve your coloring skills. Well, there's simple exercises. One of the ones that I did when I was self-taught, so I kind of that was my approach to doing it when I was what 19, 12, no, I was like 19 or 20. That's when I started working digitally. I would take a bunch of photos and I would just start color picking. Not to copy or anything like that, but color picking just to understand where the fuck the colors are located on the color wheel. Because, like, it's very hard to kind of distinguish, all right, where am I going with this? Unless you do a lot of color picking, you're like, okay, let's see the basic tone, right? Okay, so it's gonna be somewhere on a kind of this orange area, and like it's gonna be somewhere around this kind of zone, and like you do that enough for enough of things, It's like, oh, let's see the shadows. Okay, this one's good. You start noticing the logic of shadows dipping down, but also towards saturated a bit, and the more you do it, the more things start clicking on that level, and you start understanding. Okay, and then as you start working with that knowledge, it turns into muscle memory greatly, and then, like I said, that little hack of shadows more saturated and darker, lights less saturated and lighter will cover a lot of stuff. It's not 100% foolproof. There are things where things are gonna go unexpected, but generally, for the majority of things, that's how it's gonna work. I haven't played Dishonored, but I already have a universe. Yeah, and when you're doing these studies, if you're trying to master color, don't bother with details. Do them like this. Keep it vague, keep it large, keep it shapes, and keep it, just values and colors and stuff like that until that clicks for you. Then take it to the next stage. Because the worst thing that you could do is do studies and then get boggled down in details that really aren't what you're trying to decipher. Because details are just a matter of how long you're gonna stay on something. I'm not a good teacher. I have some tips and tricks, but that's about it. I don't even know how to begin to teach people. Problem with me is I was self-taught, and when you're self-taught, you lack the methodology of it all. As in, I would spend too much time trying to figure out a way how to explain what I mean, when people who have experience with that will just, get into the nitty-gritty of it. There's far better teachers than I could ever be out there, and they are a better choice for pretty much everybody. However, I'm always a big fan of learn from as many people as you can. Pick up anything that seems useful and then sort it out on your own to see whether or not it works for your approach and what fits your sensibilities. Because that's at the end of the day the most important part. This is one of those reasons why I always kind of tell people like don't obsess about styles, don't obsess about any of those things. Grasp the fundamentals because a style works the best when it's naturally developed from it being what it's supposed to be. It is both your artistic handwriting, but it's also a bunch of mistakes that look good, that were consciously chosen and left there because you're like, okay, this is this is basically um, this is shifting away from the way things should look, but with this mistake in, it looks cooler, and it's a conscious choice made by somebody who understands what they're making. Because there's a lot of dead ends in studying art, and you kind of have to backtrack from those. And I know because I've been down a lot of dead end alleys. Hey, do you know? Oh yeah, that's half of the process. Going like, yeah, I'm nailing it. 5 minutes of break. 5 minutes later, I suck. Why do I do this? This is the worst thing ever. those rare moments where Ali has painted nails. And that's mostly because Marion did her makeup for the wedding. And then Ali's gonna be super awkward for the whole damn event because she's not used to having long nails and she's got those acrylic ones stuck on her. So there's gonna be like about 50 or so jokes in the final volume of Sunstone of just Ali trying to fucking maneuver shit around. It's gonna be great. Because ain't nothing funnier than watching people who are not used to long nails just do stuff with long nails. It's peak comedy. This is just some brushes. I still need to actually properly, you know, render some variety into it. It's just me fucking around trying to figure out if I can kind of brute force mimic some of the stuff I do in Photoshop with layer styles. It's one of those things missing in Clip Studio. It's a great painting program, but there are certain things that are just very useful that it still doesn't have. Yeah, I know. Also, it's very frustrating that the program doesn't know how to handle TIFF files, which, you know, when they are one of the big standards in the industry, is a bit of a problem. Hey, Proxy. Sir, are you okay? One of my favorite things to draw. Really attractive people making really stupid faces. Uh, Sometimes. Not before I paint them. Sometimes I find myself doing it while I'm painting them. Mostly as a mental kind of a muscle mapping. One of the things I always recommend to people is have a mirror by you. if you're gonna learn how to draw expressions and then map the expression onto a character. It's an animator's trick. Fortunately, my setup right now does not allow me to have a mirror here, but once I finally move, I'm definitely getting myself one of those, putting it on a table just to have it. So I too can look like an idiot while drawing. It's gonna be great. For a year, it's been going more than a year, but we're hoping before summer. We'll see how long it sticks, Flinks. Oh, yeah, if you had a bouquet of flowers launched at you at Mach 5, you know, you'd make that face too. for eyeball, I go with something like around this upper left quadrant and around the middle of that. So that's it's you basically it's more of a tone, but somewhere around I usually go something yellowish and then like either something yellowish or something blue grayish. So it's a process. You add a bit of a red tint around the edges so that you get some believability to it all. But yeah, that's kind of what I pick. No, there's no what's it called? There's no new covers. The ones that are, if there's any on Kickstarter, it's just the stuff that's been published a long time ago. Like we didn't reprint those. There is a new reprint that's coming for the standard editions, but that's going to be like a smaller manga-sized imprint. It's just something that Image Comics is doing these days, trying to do a sort of a digest format because those are actually proven themselves quite successful as a format. So they're trying it out. So we'll see how those go. Yeah, Jiwa Honey. Okay, let's see now. This has been up for 2 hours. I think it's gonna be the time now to stop. It's time to stop, and I gotta go and make comics now, because I got Fine Print 3 to finish. So I'm gonna continue this some other day this week. File save, and I am going to be out. Ah. Have a good one, everybody.